Sephora stores are everywhere you are. So just pop in when you need a brown lip to match your 90s playlist. A confidence boost before your interview? Or a last-minute gift for mom's birthday. There's always a Sephora near you. Just pop in. Use our store locator to find your local Sephora or Sephora at Kohl's.
Looking to do more with your electric drive? Volvo Recharge plug-in hybrids travel further in pure mode. That means more scenic routes, more spontaneous adventures. Volvo Recharge plug-in hybrids do more on electric. Visit volvocars.com/US.
So I go up to this house. It's a very small house. I mean, it's probably 500-600 square feet, maybe. It's a very small house. I go up to the house. I can see a front door. The front door is closed. There's kind of two big windows, or two windows on the front side of the house. I go around the back just to double check. There's a couple small windows as you go around the house, but there's nothing. There's no other doors. There's one door at the front, in and out. That's it. So I kind of peek around the back real quick, make sure, there's no way out back there. These windows are very small. They're covered in cobwebs. Like, clearly nobody's been through them in any time recently. So I kind of sneak back around to the front, and I'm listening, and I'm waiting this whole time. Like, okay, I don't hear anything. As I come back around toward the front of the house, I all of a sudden hear footsteps in the house, and it's running like a grown man running from end to end across this small house. I mean, you could hear it. You can hear it plain as day. Like, it sounds like somebody's sprinting away from me inside the house, but I'm right outside the front door, so I'm like, great, because this guy's got nowhere to go, right? So for me, this is a perfect scenario. I've got my dog, I've got one way in and out of this house, and this guy's not getting away. I'm like, perfect, this is great. So I'm excited. I call for another unit, right? Because I want somebody else to be there to go hands-on when my dog bites this guy, if he doesn't give up, And so I call for another unit, and I'm waiting, and that's the only other unit that was close by was tied up, and now he's fighting with this gal trying to take her into custody, about a half mile away from me. So I'm like, well, I can't help him. He can't help me. I'm not going to leave here because, this guy's going to get away. And so I'm like, okay, well, I guess it's me and my dog, right? So I have a button that I can push, and it releases the dog from my car. So I push the button, release the dog from my car. Dog comes to me. Now we're both at the front door of this house, and I hear this kind of crashing, rattling noise and more footsteps in the house. I'm like, okay, he's still trying to find a way out of there. There's only the front door, so he's going to figure that out eventually. So I go up to the front door, I check the door handle. The door handle's unlocked. I'm like, perfect. I push the door in a little bit, and it moves about 1.5 inches and then stops, a dead stop, just like it would if somebody had their boot right inside the door, right? Like, it just hits this immovable object, and it ain't opening any further. So I call out, I give announcements, say, hey, sheriff's office, there's a dog here. You got to give up now. The dog's going to come in. Dog's going to bite you. Of course, dog's barking, the whole deal. And nothing, not a peep from inside the house, right? So I give one more warning, and last warning, I'm going to send in the dog. Dog's going to bite you. Nothing. Okay, here we go. So I go up to the door handle again, and I'm prepared to shoulder the door, like just force whoever or whatever is behind this door out of the way so I can get the door open enough to send the dog in. And as I do that, I touch the door handle, and the door just swings open, like all the way open. It's wide open now, and there's nothing behind the door. There's not a person, there's not a piece of furniture, there's nothing that would have stopped the door from opening. I'm like, okay, so there was definitely a dude just inside the door, right? Somebody was obviously just there holding the door shut. And so I send in the dog, and watching left and watching right, waiting for where's this guy hiding. There's kind of a lot of stuff in this house, but it's not a hoarder house, but there's enough stuff in this house where there's places where somebody could be hiding for sure.
The history of our Earth is so different from what we can imagine.
The Smithsonian, that if they found out about a large skeleton somewhere, was to go get it.
I'm going to assume at least one person is right, because if one person's right, it busts the paradigm.
It all goes back to the fallen cherub. And the problem with the modern day church, they have a very truncated view of the supernatural.
This backdrop that's just pregnant with all kinds of meaning associated with this Mount Hermon event.
Welcome to Blurry Creatures.
And this guy
defects from the kingdom. That's a big deal.
All right, welcome back to Blurry Creatures. Got another members episode for you guys, and you know how it goes here. You know the spiel. But I love this one because, like I was telling our guest today on the beginning of the hour, I love it when law enforcement and people who just work for the, government employees or forced, people who are
forest people.
Wear the uniform.
You're talking about little people or
forest people, not the
forest
people.
rangers? You mean?
No, they don't wear that kind of uniform. Who knows what they wear?
They wear a funny little hat. That's why you love them.
Yeah, they have a cool uniform.
They do.
It's just
They do. It's the old time. It's a little old timey, but
I would love it when we get the Blurry studio. If we can get a gnome hat, if someone has an original, send it to us.
An original, like an actual, like worn by an actual gnome.
Yeah.
It's like that Michael Jackson hat you tried on that one time.
Oh yeah, we did. I tried on Michael Jackson's hat.
You tried on the Thriller hat. Yeah.
Luke was there for that. Yeah, that's coming.
You see, like
we'll tell that story.
Your head is a little bigger than you're big in Japan, so no big deal. Yeah. I'm trying to get back to the old time where I snipe you a little bit. It's more fun that way.
No, I appreciate it, man. We gotta keep each other humble here. But to transition back to this, I just wanted to say thank you guys for supporting this podcast and the member stories and people reaching out to us and sharing your stories. And like I said, I love it when professionals come on and can really get into it and say, look, this is what I've experienced, because they've gone through so much. And it takes a lot of guts and courage to share your story when you're in that line of work. So I appreciated them in the past. Used to love it when cops would call in like coast to coast and be like, dude, this is what happened. Yeah. And for some reason, I just listened a little bit harder and a little more intently. Like, oh, this guy is not, seems more legit,
Yeah, and we talked a bit about this, like the idea that, when you have a certain amount of training, I think about like guys like David Politis that after their law enforcement careers, they go into research and investigation because of the skill set, the training they have, right? It's different. Like I feel like when you are trained that way, you notice little things. You are trained to notice little things that in criminal investigations are evidence, or it's the details, and then inevitably these folks get trained to log these details. And so when you have somebody that comes on, we had our two friends that were law enforcement that had the Wendigo encounter, which is terrifying. You should check that episode out if you haven't listened to it. As well, John Redbird Dover and his 30 years in that reservation. It's just a different animal, if you will, for these men and women that work in this line of work. And I think there's an extra level of credibility as they recount their stories, since this is what they do, right? This is the way that they are trying to think and operate, right? So grateful to have our new friend who will go by the moniker DB Cooper on today. He's in the Pacific Northwest, and if you don't know the story about DB Cooper, you should look that one up. That's a fun one in Ultimate Capers, but Ultimate Capers. Yeah,
you didn't know about the Barefoot Bandit. I'm a little bit sad.
You didn't know about the Geezer Bandit. I mean, come on.
That's true. We don't know all this. The Wet Bandits. I knew about them.
We're no longer the Wet Bandits. We're now the Sticky Bandits.
We love you guys out there. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, sharing it around. And like we said before, Spotify says that half of all of our podcast listens come from text messages. So you guys are a big part of what fuels the Blur. And thank you for sharing it with friends. I mean, it's huge that you feel so inclined to share it with people you love. Thank you, and I hope you like this one. Once again, you have to be a member to listen to this episode. It's a members-only podcast. There's over 60 episodes now available for members. If you want to hop in and support the show, blurrycreatures.com/members. And you get access to this and so much more. Thank you.